Hello, friends. Welcome to Backside Story Musings of a Gastroenterologist. Post 3 Preparing for American Life. Failing to prepare is preparing to fail. Ben Franklin. As mentioned in my previous post, although I had a place to stay in America, it was a temporary abode. I had to move to a newer place and survive. Money was not the only consideration. How would I make life happen in America? For instance, everything was new. Language, systems of daily living, laws, policies, norms of the society, and loneliness. I was an ill-trained champ trying to sustain on his own in a completely new system. I could not drive, cook, or even chop vegetables, was afraid of the knife. I had not dealt with credit cards, 401ks, and taxes. And above all, I was coming from a country of 1.1 billion people, a large extended family, and many friends to being only and lonely. I would be lying if I say I wasn't doubtful or terrified. I often wonder what helped me to sustain and endure. I think sometimes having minimal options is a good thing. America had a great reputation. I had no other viable option, so I just dreamt and plodded. As Martin Luther King Jr. said, "You don't have to see the whole staircase, just take the first step." Let me entertain you with those strenuous yet comical coaching undertakings. Driving misadventures. First step was cracking the code of driving. Unlike India, walking or biking everywhere were not feasible options. Strangely, only deer can walk on the highways in the US, but not humans. The terrain and distances demanded significant force and determination to bike. I lacked both. Simply said, my psychology favored ease and thus was antagonistic to the science of laborious cycling in the US. I was stunned to learn that I had to pass a written exam even before I could learn to drive. The exam wasn't difficult, just weird. I had always been fascinated by fast racing cars in Hollywood movies, superbly capturing the speed and thrill. Alas, I was no Tom Cruise. Applying the newly studied driving laws while learning to drive was making my head spin and driving my instructor crazy. I was very cautious and unhurried. This invited me quite a few honks on the road. I thought I was being good, and the beeps were for my encouragement. But to my amazement, they were to awaken me from my sluggishness. Slow driving is an offense too. Oh, I had to stay in my narrow lane following a narrow speed limit. 45 miles per hour to 65 miles per hour speed on most highways. I couldn't just squander to the empty road as I desired. The absence of personal freedom while driving in the land of free was confusing the heck out of me. After a week of lessons, I took the road driving test and failed at parallel parking. I took it again 2 days later and passed, since I wasn't asked to parallel park again. As Mr. Trump said, everything in life is luck. Cooking experiments. I visited India before starting residency. During that time, my mom made me work in the kitchen. She bought me gadgets and taught me techniques to chop and peel that were easier than a sharp knife. She also wrote me basic cooking recipes. Initially, the recipes appeared to be some mythological story, quite unreal. List of Indian spices seemed to be longer than the number of elements in a chemistry periodic table. The precise quantity of spices to be used and a stepwise fashion to add them while cooking seemed like a tough chemistry experiment. The whole cooking exercise was like a research trial. When successful, it was happiness. And when it failed, it was a teaching moment. I had a lot of those teaching moments. For loneliness, I was given lectures to not fall prey to bad company and use meditation and journaling to seek thrill. Typical parents. As a final thought, it all worked out. It usually does. Most things become easy when taken with a sprinkle of humor and a bit of innocence. Innocence made me believe on my fanciful dreams and enabled me to continue trudging. Did you need to move anywhere for education, job, or family? I would love to hear your stories about adapting to a newer life. Anything that stuck you about this post? Please chime in. As I strive for continuous improvement, I sincerely call upon you to please subscribe, share, comment, and advise. Thank you so much for listening. Keep smiling.